Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wednesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call. Today is October 8th, 2025. There's a lot to discuss, and so let's go ahead and get right into it. It took a while for me to put this call together because there's literally so much information. You kind of have to make a decision about what's important enough to discuss and what can be held out, what's not that critical. But I'm going to say something that might seem a little provocative, but in my view, the window for the reinstitution of the Iraqi dinar is now. And what I mean by now isn't that it's going to happen today or tomorrow, but based on what's going on in Iraq, it could happen that quickly. Now, it's always been 2 steps forward, 1 step back, so I'm sure there's always going to be some sort of a complication in a tribal culture like the Middle East, where there are players with different agendas that are doing everything they can to obstruct for whatever reason. But I go back to the situation with the Kuwaiti dinar. We were in a similar situation with the Kuwaiti dinar, but because of all of the problems in Kuwait at the time and all of the players with different agendas, the CBI of Kuwait came out in roughly the spring of, I think it was 1992, I can't remember the exact year. They said that they were looking for the reinstitution of the Kuwaiti dinar in the following year, and it happened about 2 weeks later. So they're always trying to, throw us a curveball and not give us a date and a rate, largely because they're concerned of the speculators and some of the nefarious players, and that's understandable. But if you've been following the situation in Iraq, you know there's only so many I's that need to be dotted and only so many T's that need to be crossed, and things are really moving. It's picking up momentum, and things are looking good. I want to start by talking with the players that are involved here, both in and out of country. In Iraq, we have Prime Minister Soudani, a player, Governor of the CBI, Alak, a player, Minister of Finance, Ali, a player, and then we have the smattering of pro-Iranian officials in the parliament. They're not players, they're obstructionists, they're pro-Iranian, and they view Iraq, for whatever reason, as kind of a redheaded stepchild, and they've been doing everything they can to obstruct and possibly even try to stop the reinstitution of the Iraqi dinar. But that's simply not going to happen. Now, why is Iran a bad player? Why should it bother Iran to see Iraq thrive? Well, remember, the government of Iraq is a radical theocracy. They're referred to, and I would suggest that you Google this for yourself, because these are some sick puppies. They're referred to as 12th imamers. So you need to understand what a 12th imamer is to kind of get an idea of what, unfortunately, the people of Iran are dealing with, and countries like Iraq that border Iran are dealing with as well. The other issue with Iran is what I would just call good old-fashioned jealousy. Iran is a very mountainous country. It's difficult to traverse. It's difficult to extract what resources they have. But even though they're substantially larger than Iraq, Iraq absolutely dwarfs them with their wealth, because Iraq is situated in the Euphrates River Delta, where all of the silt from the Caucasus mountain range in Iran flowed down. So Iraq's wealth in terms of precious metals, industrial metals, oil, and other things are incredible. Now, couple that with the fact that going back to 1988, international currencies made a cataclysmic shift. They were no longer going to be fiat-based, meaning based on the solely the full faith and credit of a given government, but based on something called basal, the known natural resources of a country and their ability to bring those resources to market. That being the case, it can be argued, for the reason I just stated, that Iraq per square mile could be the richest country in the world. Couple or add to that the fact that the leadership of Saddam Hussein and the invasion of Kuwait ended up in the United States, along with a coalition of other nations, expelling the forces of Iraq from Kuwait, decimating those forces, removing Saddam Hussein, and placing their currency in a program rate, meaning virtually worthless. So you and I come along, and we purchase the Iraqi dinar at a program rate as the result of Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, and we now hold the currency of a country that we paid next to nothing for, a currency that is now going to return to a basal compliant rate, the basal compliant rate of a country that arguably per square mile could be the richest country in the world. And that's how we turn a $1,000 investment for 1 million dinar into literally millions of US dollars. And we finally, after decades, have come to a point where this could be a reality. Now, I've explained the players in Iraq, again, Soudani, Alak, Salih, and then there's the president of Kurdistan, Barzani, who is working with Soudani. But there's one other player, arguably the most important player, and that's President Donald Trump. Because since Iraq was forced into a program rate, we've had a number of presidents. But none of them either had the will or the forethought or the fortitude to put their foot down and say, we're going to assist Iraq to fully recover, to re-enter the global community, and to have a globally recognized currency at a basal compliant rate. And this is where we find ourselves today. And how did Trump accomplish this? Well, he did it through a number of ways. One of the things he did was institute tariffs, and he used the tariffs as leverage against bad players, one of which, of course, is Iran. He also took out Soleimani, the Iranian general that was creating all kinds of problems in Iraq with his militias and doing everything they could to retard the return of Iraq and its currency along with it. The other thing he did, and this is very important, is he not only took out all of Iran's nuclear capability, but he did it with a precision and a technology that got the attention of China, Russia, and other nefarious players. So he really killed two birds with one stone. He neutralized Iran and its interference into Iraq permanently, and he put everyone else on notice that the United States is not to be messed with, and we have a technology far beyond what they had realized. So what does this do? This brings not security and stability in an economic sense to Iraq, but security and stability to an area of the world that's been unstable probably for most of my lifetime. Now, there is one fly in the ointment in Iraq, and that is their parliament. The pro-Iranian factions of their parliament are obstructionists because they're pro-Iranian. But, once again, Donald Trump has circumvented parliament and rendered them irrelevant. The Trump administration has a multi-phased initiative to basically circumvent the Parliament, work with the CBI and Alok and his cabinet to proceed with the completion of the monetary reform. He's got the United States Treasury working collaboratively with the CBI. He's brought in Oliver Wyman, is an international auditing firm, to assist with the audit for their budget and their fiscal policy. He's brought in KPMG, which is an anti-money laundering firm, which is very important. And lastly, he's brought in Ernst & Young, which are global digital experts. So basically, we're taking away the funds that have been pilfered from the country, transitioning to a digital currency. So everything is really moving. I'm actually getting hit by a couple of people hitting me with texts. Unfortunately, it's kind of difficult for me to read them. It's probably more good news, but let me proceed with the information I have. So Trump's initiative with bringing in all of these international firms is to do a line-by-line audit of the budget, inclusive of Article 12-2C, which, of course, is the article holding the new exchange rate. So we see the sale of oil in Iraq increasing substantially, which, of course, done through the HCL. The funds coming in will fund the budget, but pursuant to Article 12-2C of that budget, the funding of the budget will be done with a Basel compliant rate, not 1310. That's why I said from the beginning the window is now. I think that we could see a new exchange rate in Iraq at any time, because everything that's being done here can only lead to one thing, and that is the complete sovereignty of Iraq, the complete financial restructuring of their banking system, a digital system, final passage of the HCL and their budget, inclusive of a new exchange rate. So the only thing left to do at this point, in my opinion, is for a formal announcement that we will see a new rate in the very near future. And I'm not talking months, I'm talking days and weeks. Now, having said that, we've seen 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But as I said, they're dotting I's and they're crossing T's, and there's only so much that they can do till they come to the point where they have to give the citizens purchasing power. This is what's been promised to the citizens. They've been moving methodically toward this, even though, of course, they've had back steps, but they've been stubborn. They've been pushing forward. I think the catalyst and the final piece of the puzzle for this was the re-election of Donald Trump. If you remember, if you go back to when he was running for president and he was talking about and railing against our deficit, he said it was because we didn't have an equal global playing field with currencies. They were being manipulated, particularly China, with artificial devaluation of their currency in order to corner the international trade market. Well, Trump has completely and totally flipped the switch on all of that, and he's using, again, tariffs as leverage to force these countries to accurately value their currency on one playing field, a Basel-compliant playing field. And those of us that have currencies are about to reap a huge windfall from what Donald Trump is doing. Now, it's time to talk about going to the bank, because once the dinar reinstitutes, you're going to need to exchange your currency because you're going to need to pay taxes on the gain. The reason I bring this up is because, unfortunately, there are people out there saying that no taxes are due until and unless you exchange your currency. That's wrong. Go to Section 988E2 of the Internal Revenue Code. referring specifically to exchange of currency. And it says there, if the profit that you would enjoy from the exchange of a currency exceeds $200, you must pay the tax. So once the currency reinstitutes, you're going to need to pay the tax. When is the tax due? On the 15th day of the first month of the next quarter. So you may have 3.5 months to pay the tax if the currency reinstitutes early in the quarter, or you may have very little time if it reinstitutes at the end of a quarter. But you need to know that the penalty for an untimely tax is 100% plus interest. So that basically wipes you out. So the taxes have to be paid. Now, the third issue is when you go to the bank to do your exchange. Are you going as an individual, or are you going as the settler of a trust and, of course, in our view, our trust package? Plan A, you walk into the bank as an individual. This is a public exchange. Everyone is going to know that you exchanged your currency and how much money you got from that currency. So if, for example, you had 10 million dinar and you got $3 for it, each dinar, you're looking at $30 million, and everyone's going to know that. Now, I'll get into the benefits of the trust, but I'm perhaps just speaking for myself, but I don't think really that's anyone's business. So there might be a way I can obscure that information from them. That would be Plan B, going into the bank with our trust package. That turns your public exchange to a private exchange because no one's going to know what you possess. Why? Because by assigning your currencies pre-RV to our trust, you will go to the bank, you will exchange the currency. The exchanged USD will then go into the trust bank account that will be established that day at that bank. And because that trust is sealed and no one's entitled to what's actually in that trust, no one will know what you possess. Now, the only way a trust can be pierced is if you have defrauded someone in some way and you lose a civil suit. But short of that, your privacy is intact. There are a number of benefits that the trust can provide. I'm just going to review them very briefly. By the way, I'm moving quickly through this call today because a lot of people who have been paying close attention agree completely with the things that I'm saying and think that the reinstitution of the Iraqi dinar could happen very shortly. And so they're either requesting an initial trust package to review the possibility of establishing a trust, or they have an existing trust and they want to make certain changes at the last minute. But very briefly, I want to just discuss with you the benefits available by establishing this trust, benefits that are not available to anyone short of establishing a trust. The first benefit is absolute privacy and anonymity. This cannot be accomplished with an LLC, a sub-S corporation, a revocable trust, or a limited family partnership. This can only be accomplished through an irrevocable trust package. Second benefit, your ability to avoid personal IRS scrutiny. That's because the business activities occur within the trust. You are merely the beneficiary of the business activities within the trust and the assets that are in the trust for your benefit. The third benefit is pre-RV gifting. Now, in order to avoid a federal gift tax, if you want to assist family and friends, you need to gift currencies to them pre-RV. Now, there's a little bit of a problem with that because you don't know exactly what the exchange rate is going to be, so it's hard to kind of figure out how much currency to give an individual to net to roughly the amount you want to give them. Well, there's a way to get around that. Trusts Unlimited, within our package of trusts, has established a special gift subtrust. This allows you to gift currencies to family and friends and avoid the federal gift tax. But because you're gifting through this gift subtrust, you have complete control of the post-RV proceeds. In addition, the specific language of this trust has a sliding scale, which means you can give to them the exact U.S. dollar amount you want. Now, the reason I know how this trust specifically works is because I wrote it. And I wrote it with individuals in mind who have contacted us, and they're concerned about gifting to individuals who they feel for any number of reasons just will not be up to the task or cannot be trustworthy enough to manage substantial amounts of money. So this gift trust not only allows you, once again, to gift currencies to avoid the federal gift tax and to have control of the post-RV proceeds, but it's structured in such a way that you can give these individuals the exact U.S. dollar amount that you want, irrespective of the exchange rate. This trust will also allow you to avoid the cost and delay in public disclosure of probate and the federal estate tax. The probate process is the process whereby assets are transferred from the deceased to the heirs. This process can take anywhere from 6 months. I've seen probates, because they were litigated, up to 20 years. All of that's avoided here because there is no probate. The assets are in trust, and when the settlers pass away, the assets within the trust go to the heirs, meaning that no one knows the size of the estate, who the heirs are, and how much each stands to inherit. This trust also allows you to avoid the federal estate tax, the tax which is assessed with the transfer of the estate to the heirs. The federal estate tax can be as much as 55% of your entire estate, in excess of $12 million. Now, the reason there's no federal estate tax is because there's no transfer. The assets still remain in trust. It's just that the beneficiary changes from the settler, the person who created the trust, to their heirs. So that means that the heirs will privately receive 100 cents on a dollar with no federal estate tax in complete privacy. The last benefit, and perhaps the most important benefit, is the asset protection benefits. One pre-RV, one post-RV. Pre-RV, this trust package will allow you to avoid something called the Uniform Fraudulent Transfer Act. Very simply, I'll explain it this way. Let's say you had 10 million dinar, and you assign them to the trust, and they revalued for $3. You now have 30 million in trust. You begin to live a lifestyle more reflective of that newfound wealth. Someone sees that you're living rather well and decides for whatever reason that they're going to sue you. Well, can they sue you for that 30 million? No. Why? Because when you transferred the currencies out of title to the trust, they were only worth $10,000. So that eliminates litigation, because it eliminates a substantial windfall if the individual were to win a civil suit. Now, post-RV, there's a benefit I like to refer to as limited liability or stop loss. Now, this is accomplished, or this is protection from future bad acts after you've acquired this wealth. This protects you through a legal strategy called segregation of assets. I'll use the same example. You purchased 10 million dinar for $10,000, assigned the currencies to the trust. They subsequently revalued for $30 million. So you decide to make some purchases. Purchase a new home, a couple of new cars, maybe a vacation home, a boat, etc. But as you purchase each of these items, you place each of them in their own separate subtrust to be managed by the master trust, the initial trust that you established pre-RV. Now, how does this protect you from litigation in the future? Well, if, for example, any one of those assets, a rental property, a car, a boat, etc., was involved in litigation, it would only be that asset involved in the litigation, because the other assets are in separate subtrusts which under the law are separate legal entities not involved in the litigation. So this trust package protects your privacy and your anonymity. It protects you from IRS scrutiny. It protects you from civil suits. And even after you've acquired this wealth, it substantially limits your liability in terms of future litigation by segregating assets into separate trusts. This is why you need to establish your trust package prior to the reinstitution of these currencies, because if you try to transfer the post-RV wealth, you will have lost virtually all of these benefits. You're in your situation. You possess an asset that you know is going to increase substantially in wealth, so you can transfer that asset out of title to a protective trust before the acquisition of this wealth and receive all of the benefits that I've just described. Now, our trust package is initially a package of 10 trusts consisting of one master trust that will hold your assigned currencies and financial assets, your assigned currencies pre-RV and financial assets post-RV, and then all of the sub-trusts to hold assets that you will acquire post-RV individually. This was a simplification of a rather sophisticated trust package that we've utilized in the past for our more affluent clients. But those trust packages had a cost of anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000. Why? Because they were transferring a substantial amount of wealth to the trust. So you're going to enjoy the same benefits that they do for a nominal fee of only $2,500 because you're transferring the currencies initially, and then the newfound wealth will then be distributed to the sub-trusts post-RV. Now, I'm going to go to the Q&A in just a moment, but I do want to give you our contact information. If the things we've discussed are of interest to you, I strongly suggest you contact us to get our initial no-obligation package. It does contain everything you need if you wish to proceed, but you're under no obligation to do so. You're going to receive a lot of knowledge that you're going to want before you acquire this wealth. You're going to understand why you need to assign the currencies to the trust before you've acquired this wealth. And fortunately for all of us that have had currencies, it looks like we're running out of time to get these affairs in order before the dinar and, frankly, some of the other currencies reinstitute. I probably should have gotten into a little bit of what's going on in Vietnam, because Vietnam all of a sudden is picking up momentum as well, and a lot of our clients have Vietnamese dong. Bear in mind that you could assign any and all currencies. We have individuals that have Iraqi dinar, Vietnamese dong, Indonesian rupiah, Zim, other currencies, and XRP as well. And all of these assets can be assigned to the trust as well. You can contact us by email or phone. Our email address is trusts with an S, unlimited LLC at gmail.com. That's trusts with an S, unlimited LLC at gmail.com, or our phone service, which is 307-274-4122. That's 307-274-4122. Contact us by email or phone. We'll get our trust package out to you as quickly as possible. You can review the package. Contact us if you have any questions. And again, if you decide to proceed, everything you need is included in the package. So let's go ahead and open our Q&A here for today. And while I'm waiting for any questions, again, I'll just give you that contact information. Our email address is trusts with an S, unlimited LLC at gmail.com, and our phone service is 307-274-4122. We do have some calls in the queue. Our first call is area code 347. That's 347. Go ahead.
Yes, this is Praveen from New York. Is it true that the Iranian militias, are they increasing their activity in Iraq as the U.S. is attempting to withdraw from, I think, Iraq or some of the military bases in Iraq?
I would be surprised if they were not trying to reinstitute the intrusion of some of these militias. However, if that were to happen, I think President Trump has something for them. I don't think that he would entirely withdraw and leave Iraq completely vulnerable to the nonsense from Iran. As the years have gone by, I think I've gotten a little bit of a how do I say this, MO on Trump, and it's almost as though Trump would, because he's a chess kind of guy, it almost might make it look like he's withdrawing to see what Iran does, and then, if they try any funny business, he's just going to drop the hammer on them. So I'm not worried about Iran at this point. I think Iran's been pretty much neutralized, and they're basically a petulant child that's just not gotten their way, and they're not happy about it.
No, but the shadow operation, I don't heard they're increasing their shadow operations in Iraq.
Well, of course they've got all nefarious things going on. I'm just saying I think that President Trump's going to neutralize whatever they're attempting.
No, when exactly is the Iraqi elections? The 11th of November?
Well, they play games with the elections. Remember, it's a parliamentary system. They don't have fixed elections. They can announce elections, and they can adjust what's going on. But again, like I say, my faith in President Trump. Since he hit the ground in his second term, he hasn't missed a beat. He's 2-3 moves ahead of everybody. And I think, as a matter of fact, I don't even know that the elections are a relevant issue at this point. Some people have said, well, Soudani's going to have to pull the trigger on the reinstitution if he wants to get reelected. At this point, I think the momentum is such that it almost doesn't matter about the elections, but we'll have to see. But I just have faith that Trump's on. Remember, Trump really wants this over with. He wants this done. He wants the United States repaid for the 20 years that they've been in Iraq, and I'm sure he wants the trillions of IQD that the Treasury is holding to be reinstituted for the USD, because he has a lot of plans. And he's got some plans for the Federal Reserve that is not going to be to their liking. I think it's going to be the next couple of years are going to be very, very interesting, and I think the reinstitution of the Iraqi dinar and some of these currencies are going to be a factor in all of that.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Our next caller is area code 208. That's 208. Go ahead.
Good morning, Jim. This is Greg in Idaho.
Hey, Greg.
I have a technical. Very good. Very good. Thank you. I have a technical question. We've had the trust for some time. An incredible piece of work. If we change the protector, which you have record of, does that need to be? Do you need to be notified by email or in writing as to who the new protector is?
Well, you ought to email us and tell us that you want to change the protector, because you're going to want that reflected in the trust, and our paralegal would make that adjustment. Although you could do it on your own, theoretically, you could take that page and amend it, put a new protector in, and then you could write your own addendum and say, effective such and such a date, Defender ABC Protector ABC has been replaced with Protector XYZ. You could do that as well, but I would suggest you send us an email and say, we wish to change our protector from the existing protector, give us the name, to our new protector, give us that name, and then we'll respond to you.
Okay, so when you respond to us, Jim, is it just a formal notification that you've made the change?
I'll leave that to them. It's funny that you asked this question. As long as we've been doing this, I don't remember anyone ever requesting a change of protector. So I'm going to assume it's going to be similar to a change of a trustee. Now, the change of a trustee requires a trust rewrite. The change of a protector does not. It probably requires an addendum. So that's why if you send us the email, whatever needs to be done on our end will get done.
That leads me to this question. we want to modify or change the trustees as well. So,
well, you're going to need, if you want to do that pre-RV, you better do it now. You need to send us an email, tell us the changes you want to make, and give us the name of the person that's there now and the name of the new person that you're replacing them with. But if you're changing the trustee, you need a trust rewrite. Now, that can be done for a very nominal fee of, I think it's $160. They'll rewrite the whole trust with a new trustee. But once you receive that, you're going to need to execute that document ASAP.
Okay, but it can be done in email. You don't need a written certified letter. Okay,
nope,
it can
just
be
send
done
us an email. Tell us you want the changes. Give us the names of the old, the names of the new, and we'll be in touch.
Okay. I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much, Jim.
Take care.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Our next caller is area code 615. That's 615. Go ahead.
Morning, Jim. This is Bill in Tennessee. How are you today?
Hey, Bill. Okay. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Couple quick questions for you. One, can the protector sign on both the master and the gift trust, and do you recommend that?
Well, the protector.
What I mean, sign on as a signatory on the bank accounts.
No, I don't believe. that. It's the trustee that has to sign off, not the protector. Basically, the protector's function is to help resolve issues if there's a dispute or discrepancy or misunderstanding between the settlor and the trustee. But beyond that, they're not involved in the ordinary daily operations of the trust, inclusive of establishing accounts.
Okay. I'm thinking about the checking account, having one signature by the trustee and not having a backup signature in the event that the person's not available, out of the country.
Well, wait. Hold on a sec. Well, let me stop you. If you have not named a successor trustee, meaning that someone that would step in if your primary trustee resigns or is infirm or something like that, you need to send us an email and say, please send me the document for a successor trustee.
Okay.
All right. Just request that, and we'll or tell us. Excuse me. Let me correct that. Send us an email and say we wish to formally name this person. Give us the full name as our successor trustee, and we will send you a successor trustee document naming them that they will sign, so that in the event for any reason your primary trustee cannot or will not be able to serve, the successor is named and is ready to go.
Okay, that takes care of the master trust. What about on the gift trust?
Well, one other thing. You should have you should already have a successor trustee. One of the documents you got with your initial trust was a successor trustee document, and the reason we sent that out is because some banks will say, well, if you only have one active trustee, we need the name of your successor. And then people will go, well, I don't have a successor. So I don't think the banks are going to be that uncooperative post-RV, because there's a difference between you going in to execute a document assigning currencies to the trust and then walking into a bank with $10 million dinar post-RV. I think they're going to be a little more cooperative, when you're sitting there with $30 million.
Cooperative, is that a nice way of saying greedy? They want the money?
Well, yeah, I call it the Jed Clampett effect, because money talk. I mean, with the banks, the rules apply unless you got a lot of money, and then they get real flexible.
That's right. Okay, so on the gift account, where the settlers are the signatures on that, suppose they're not available, who would you recommend as a backup signature on the bank account there? Are you
talking about? Okay, let's start. You're talking about the gift subtrust.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, you're not going to even. If you will look at the exchange protocol document we sent you, you don't even take the gift subtrust to the bank initially. The only thing you're going to take is the master trust, and then the banking documents are on the very back of your trust. That's all you take. You don't even tell them you have a gift subtrust. You go in after you've done the exchange, after the USD has gone into the master trust bank account, after that money is liquid, then you go to the bank with the gift subtrust to set up accounts there and transfer the funds. And it's not beyond the realm of possibility that the bank might just become thrown a curve with the gift subtrust and not get it, and you need to say to them, well, then I just go to another bank, and set it up there. But I have a gift subtrust, and I want to transfer funds for the benefit of the people in that gift subtrust from the master trust bank account. It's all staying in your bank. It's just a different bank account. But once the dinar hits the Forex, we're going to get into all this negotiation stuff in a little more detail. But the banks, the truth of the matter is the guy at the bank that you're talking to, think about it. This is a guy sitting in a bank that's never transacted the amount of money through all of this. They may have even been told from the bank that the reinstitution of these currencies is a scam. And then people are coming into the bank and they're seeing, they're not in a happy place anyway.
No, I agree, and I understand that process, Jim. Where I was going to was just from a backup standpoint of having. I've always been a believer that when you have a checking account, unless you're a single person, you should have a backup signature in the event that the primary signator is not available or something happens to them.
Well, you're the trustee of the gift subtrust because you're not the beneficiary. But that doesn't mean you still can't use your trustee as the backup signatory for the gift subtrust.
Oh, okay. So I could use the trustee of the master trust as a backup signature on the gift trust. Okay, good.
On the gift
that answers
subtrust.
my question.
Okay.
The other one is a kind of a off the wall question. Can we sell our assets at trust at cost into the trust, the currencies, the real estate, the cars, that sort of thing, and generate tax-free income?
I don't think so because of the sheer volume of what's going on here. I think the IRS is going to pump the brakes on that. You can't go in there and say, well, gee, here, I paid $10,000 and I made $30 million, and the $30 million is not taxable. I just don't think in any world that's going to fly.
No, I guess I didn't explain it correctly. It's just selling say that you had $10,000 worth of currencies, and rather than you sell it to the trust, and the trust writes you a check for $10,000.
Well, most people have nothing in the trust. So, you're selling it to an entity that has nothing in it. So the trust can't cut you a check for $10,000 when the only thing in the trust is the assigned currencies pre-RV.
But you could take back a note from the trust payable after the RV.
I guess you could do that, but I'm one that does not want to complicate this thing any further.
And I'm not trying to. It was just something that occurred to me, and I just wanted to run it by you and see. I agree. Let's keep it simple.
No one's ever presented that one to me. I might have to do a little head scratching on that one. But if I could give anyone a piece of advice, is go to the bank, do your exchange, put the USD in the trust bank account, pay your damn taxes on time, invest wisely. The more money you have, the less risk you need to take, and and thank the Lord.
Yep, you bet. I absolutely agree. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Okay. You take care. Bye-bye now.
You too.
Our next caller is area code 301. That's 301. Go ahead.
Hey, Jeff. This is Wanda in Maryland.
Hi.
I'm listening, and can you hear me?
Just barely. I sound like you're in a wind tunnel.
Okay, how's that? Is that better?
Not really.
Okay. So, Jim, my question is this. If you're going to so right now, when I look at my trust and I try to pull certain documents that you're saying need to be done, I can't pull them out. I can't print them out. Is it possible that you can send me? I'll send you an email for those documents. Is it possible that you can send those to me?
I doubt it, but send the email anyway. Why can't you print the documents? What's going on?
I don't know. It's not allowing me to print them out.
Well, then there's a protocol in your computer to allow print. It's not the same in every computer, but there's something you're supposed to click that you're not clicking, because I've never had anyone tell me they were unable to print the trust. So you're missing something somewhere.
Okay, so I was able to print out certain documents, but it seems like to me that there's something that's not there to print out. I'm not sure what's going on, but in other words, I need the main trust papers.
Here's
so
what
that
I would suggest. I would suggest you take your computer to a Kinko's or somewhere like that, because they might be able to troubleshoot it for you, or just show you where you didn't click this, or you didn't do something in the protocol of your computer, and they should be able to assist you with that. Because we can't do it from the end. I mean, the only thing we can do is send another copy, and I don't know if they're going to, we're not in the habit of printing 200 pages and sending it out to people. Doing everything on computer for that reason.
Okay, so I'll email you on the documents that I don't have.
Okay, do that. That's a good starting place, and we'll see what we can do, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Sure, okay. Bye-bye. Okay, our next caller is, where'd that go? Okay, our next caller is area code 843. That's 843. Go ahead.
Hey, Jim, I just wondered if you heard anything about the dong.
Because I had the call to do this morning and I had a lot of work to do, I've heard a lot of good things about the dong, to the point where the people are saying the dong might actually go before the dinar. I don't know whether that's the case or not. I don't know for sure what's going on, but, I'm going to investigate it after this call. Let me put it that way.
Okay, very good.
But things are looking good there. I've discussed what's going on. Vietnam and other countries have been in this sort of closed umbrella with China, but they're exploring some other issues. And Vietnam is one of the countries that's all of a sudden starting to do trade deals outside of China. China's got its own internal financial issues as well. I mean, socialism doesn't work. It doesn't work, and every socialist country at some point has some sort of a financial crisis, and actually China, in my opinion, is having one too. So we'll see how that all plays out. But things are looking good in Vietnam too.
Yeah, I heard it had already revalued to $3.22. So hopefully that information's correct.
Well, that's really if that were true, and of course I'll be on. My pants are on fire. I'll be all over that after this call. But if that were true, what an ironic coincidence, because 322 was the rate that was projected for the Iraqi dinar. So
right,
we'll have to see. But I mean, if Vietnam is at 322, God only knows what the Iraqi dinar is going to be at.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be all over that as soon as this call's over.
Okay, very good.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Larry. Well, thanks for the heads up. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye now. Well, that was our last call for this afternoon. Again, thanks so much for taking the time to listen to our call. Our next call is scheduled for next Wednesday. Certainly, if something of a dramatic nature were to happen between now and then, we'll try to get out an emergency email and schedule an emergency conference call. But failing that, we'll be back next Wednesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Things are really looking good, and God willing, this thing will be over in the not-too-distant future. So, again, thanks so much for listening. Have a great week. God bless.